So as you saw in this short video, school finance can be complicated in Minnesota. And there's three basic components of our budget. The first is the general fund, the second is food service, and the third is community education. So let's dive in and let's talk about the general fund. So what makes up the general fund? Just so you know, the general fund is our main operating fund for the district. Anything that is needed to keep the school running basically comes from the general fund. So those things include our staff, so our teachers, our education assistants, our clerical, administration, our coaches, our custodians, also transportation, our supplies, and our maintenance. Let's talk about our food service fund. Our food service fund only can be used for things related into our food service department. So that includes our food service staff, our food that we purchase for lunches, so our food, our milk, also for breakfast, and then any maintenance supplies, any maintenance or supplies that are used for our food service program. And the last fund that we're going to talk about is our community education fund. Community education is a huge umbrella of different services, and the services include our early childhood programs, our Falcon Kids Club, our summer recreation programs, our community education activities, and also our community education staff. Now remember, in the video, we learned that school finance is complicated and there's some rules that go along with school finance. And some of those rules are that any revenue that is generated in community education or food service must stay in those particular funds. So for example, if we're short in the general fund, we can't take dollars from community education or food service to help balance the general education fund. However, if we run short in either the food service fund or community education, we can take dollars from the general fund to be able to balance out those two funds. Again, those are things that we don't want to do. We want to make sure that everything is running in the black and not in the red. The other really important part about school finance that you learned in the video that you watched is that there's restrictions on funding. So for example, we receive funding for the maintenance of our buildings, and what we call that funding is long-term facility maintenance, or short is LTFM money. And LTF money can only be used for things that are existing that we need to replace. So for example, a roof. And we receive a per pupil amount for LTFM funds, but again, we can't use those funds to balance the budget, for example, pay for instructional staff such as a teacher, so it's restricted. Some other funds that are restricted is our staff development funds. Our staff development funds, we receive 2% of our total budget, and you'll hear from Ms. Naska about what our total budget is. Those funds have to be used, they're set aside for professional development. So we can't use those funds to offset other costs that may be in the general fund. So it's really important to understand that there's certain pots of money that we can only use for specific things.